Oh, we have Krankendau in the top left spawn, and he is the T-Green Zerg. Meanwhile, in the top right-ish, 3 o'clock spawn, we have none other than HitEmUp, who has rolled a Terran. A race he has a 92% win rate in, I think, is what I saw him calculate earlier. I don't remember. It's absurd. HitEmUp is the light olive. Beaster Brown Terran. There you go. First game of the Weekendwage. What's up, Sopas? Yes, this is our technically this is our round 2, game 2, or whatever it is, a quarterfinal number 2, but they were seeded into this position because of their seed, and we only had 11 players, so we did not have we didn't have another round before this to get to the quarterfinal stage for these guys. These are the top seed dudes. These are number 4 in the tournament, HitEmUp, and number 5 in the tournament, Krankendau, by seeding. We've got Zeke, Ayud, and Newt, who are our top 3. It's Zeke 1, Newt 2, or Ayud 2, Newt 3. Those are our top 3 players, and they are awaiting their next opponent because they have a bye in the tournament. And after that, or before that, I suppose, we have the also-rans, shall we say. Arbuz as random, Hanmano as Terran, Sausage as Protoss, Godwheat as Terran, Kutiam as Terran, and Alexander as Zerg. So Alexander and Arbuz are dueling right now, and we have Godwheat and Sausage dueling, and Kutiam and Hanmano dueling. So Kutiam does have something to do, so he's actually going to be a little bit late. We'll see if he can be here on time for his first match, otherwise Hanmano will just move forward. I haven't actually seen Hanmano say anything, though, so hopefully he's going to show up as well. Might be the battle of who can take a longer time to get to their PC, although it is quite late in Korea. Maybe he just snoozed, did what HitEmUp couldn't. HitEmUp's already got his 2 stockades out and is sending the Hurakan across the map with the Mason as support. Let's see if he can just end the game early on. I think with 4 pairs of quads, Krankendau will be just fine. The Mason is here to try to add a little bit more DPS to the Larvox, but it has to turn tail immediately. When those quads start to attack, they become very pursuant and start to speed forward. Now, Krank's positioning on those units is a little bit harder to make it work, but he is going to be able to pick the Mason just fine. And back at home, we've got a bit of a line of Mavericks ready to shoot anything that moves, as long as it's not their beloved Ahmed. As the Hurakan returns home, we've got 3 larvae. Pretty good build order here for Krankendau, and it does look like we will be going into an expansion timing here pretty soon for HitEmUp, unless he wants to start adding to his production. He is adding some Cyprians. We'll see about that. One thing that I'm curious about is after the latest bout of changes to the game, from a meta standpoint, we've seen some pretty significant alterations to how the Terran matchups are going to go. Mostly because of the fact that they don't have Shaman Heal stacking anymore, but the Shaman Heal is more potent. So it's also, the Shaman itself is more expensive, but you only need 1 of them in order to get what you needed 2 before. So there's an open question as to whether or not that's a good move or not, or, you know, what that will look like as far as when Terrans adopt it. You can add a couple to your army and, you know, still benefit quite a bit, but you're only really getting the second one for redundancy. All right, HitEmUp is pushing forward with his Hurakan-led Maverick force. He has a couple of Cyprians bringing up the rear as well. A Circuit on the low ground, a Zorka Shroud behind it. That's clearly going to be the play for Krankendau. He's got a lot of quads, and he's awaiting that Terran army moving down the ramp. This looks like a pretty initially good spot for Krank. I don't think HitEmUp can really do much in this position aggressively, but he's adding a 3rd stockade. His star pad is coming up, and his ministry will be completed as well. He's just going to set up his soft containment here, wait for the Lakids to push his forces back, and we'll see what he does from there. You're going to need to lead with the Zoryus, or perhaps with a bunch of the Quads, just to absorb a lot of the damage that would otherwise be turned towards the Lakids. I feel like with the way that the star pad is coming, you know, HitEmUp has read the presence of the Shroud anyway and knew that he would have to deal with that. So the Zoryus kind of stumbles forward. It will be brought to a close relatively easily. Quick turnaround there. 11 points of health. Yeah, it will finally go down. And that's something that we were expecting for some time. But the Cyprians should be sitting ducks here, and indeed they do get eviscerated. So besides the Zorius going down and a handful of Quas, you could say that Crank is happy about that exchange. Now, I don't think he really could have kept the Zorius alive. It was sacrificial to bust through. He might have been able to keep a few more Quas behind it alive, but is that really that significant? Well, we're going to find out together as HitEmUp starts to fall back with his Mavericks. I think his army is just fine in this situation, as the Anseal will finish soon, but there might be a very brief window of time where Krankendau can do something. Expanding behind it, so we know it's not an all-in position. He ain't my boy Thunderslaps, that's for sure. 4 Leikas are here. 1 more Zorius as well, likely to be brought down. Avoiding the Hurakan, I like that positioning quite a bit. And here's the Anseal to reveal those Leikas. You just cannot take that fight. I would have loved to see Krankendau attempt it and just get a couple salvos off or whatever before the unburrow, but it was not to be. And now he has to hurry home. Remember, if he loses those Leikas, he has almost nothing to defend the bio machine that's being assembled slowly but surely by HitEmUp. And this is one of the things that's a little bit different about the way that you go Leikas versus if you're going to go Bactyl as the Zerg player. If you go Hydrith into Bactyl, you have a little bit more ubiquitous front line. You don't just have 1 or 2 Zorius in the early game. You also have the option to eventually go Bactyl and then obviously have a pretty steady force that can attack always, doesn't need to burrow. So there's a mobility advantage there. But the Leikas count is very good, that even to the point where if you have the Anseal, sure, that's one thing, but are you really going to make anything happen with regards to the Cyprian stack or the Mavericks that you got? In fact, he only has 4 Sips anyway. There's 75 minerals, 50 Vespine. Expensive little MFers, but they do the effing quite well. And there's the Vestry coming, so HitEmUp putting some faith into the single Shaman, as well as some Clerics. Clerics now boost armor by 2, so you end up with a Hurakan that has 4 armor charging in. I feel like the Leikas aren't as affected by that with their 12 damage. Of course, it also does return damage afterwards. Would love to see a burrow on that wounded Zorius. I feel like stuff like that can be pretty helpful. All right, and there's the Hydrith then. So we're seeing that mix of the tech nodes come into play. Wow, it's not a Shaman. It's 6 Clerics. All right, let's see if the Zerg can force the Terran army away. That's a bunch of Spine Salvos clearing a couple of the Cyprians, a couple of the Mavericks as well. None of the Zorius have gone down yet, so that works out all right. And the burrow on the retreat isn't as elegantly set up as he would have liked. Oh, wow. Zorius losing a lot of HP in the process of that. Whenever they get hit, they spawn a Rillarokor, the little broodling there that you see. So no surprises that we have a couple of those white dots occasionally, or T-green dots more specifically. Yeah, a lot of stockades off of the 2 bases. Maybe thinking about base number 3, but no minerals for it yet. Meanwhile, we do have a 1 Quas just kind of patrolling out here in case there's some drops. A larger contingent closer to the resource line. Something that Krankendau feels pretty strongly about. He's going to upgrade his den into that aforementioned tech structure he needs for the Bactylisks. Let's see. Ski back scab on the way. Also making some Hydras, so clearly saying that what he wants is something a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more mobile. The drop comes in but doesn't do much. Anti-drop reveals it. Very quick reactions there as well from Krankendau. And the preemptive circuits, so that helps. Macro Hatch inside his 2-base gauntlet. And he will be attempting to take this mineral only. He knows that the Cyprians are at large, so there is a little bit of a risk here. Especially since this is something that HitEmUp sees. He's just going to start trying to gun it down. Now, you can run those down with Zorius just fine. That's not really a huge issue. He even ends up reborrowing the Leikas in the process. Now, the Zorius do end up mawing down one of the Cyprians. It's a horrifying way to go. Slowly bitten to death. Got a couple Fulcrums here, and there's another drop attempt. Now, he's going to unload it. It's mostly Hurakans. That's pretty deadly, not just for the circuit, but for the workers as well. Worker count much lower than what you would like to see. The attempted unload from the Cyprians, it doesn't do much over there, but he still did give quite a bit of ground over to himself. Bactyls are being morphed. We've got Bio churning through towards this 3rd base. Looking like HitEmUp in a good position to cancel this. Now, is he going to force the cancel? I think not. Yeah, Krankendau's going to try to fight around it. Now, he might be able to save it, but at what cost? A lot of balled up Cyprians over here. His Leikas can't get anywhere close to burrowing, and the Bactyls are drawn closer to where the Hurakans are. They need to be focusing down. that front line, which was left to run riot over the Bactals, reducing their DPS, drawing their aggro. And now the Hatrosk is gone, so soaking up all that DPS is no longer a possibility. But Krankendau's gonna go for it and try his best, using the Zoryus to put them in front of the Lakers. Look at the spine coverage. Beautiful from Krankendau to wipe that army. So it turns out that he does kill the army, but at the cost of his expansion, at the cost of a lot. And I mean a lot of Zerg. It's a huge gore pile. Meanwhile, behind it, do we have much of anything as the primary follow-up? In terms of army, it's mostly pure Maverick, but a Palladium is on the way. It will be Biotank to push forward in this matchup. Interesting place to take the composition. And a couple of these units being shot down before they had a chance to do much of assistance there. Stimming after the Zoryus I like, just because it denies the enemy one more thing they can put in between your Cyprians and anything else. But Cyprians are being invested into now, but there's none on the field in the moment. You got a couple back at home, and that's it. Base number 3 has been set up in the meanwhile. We still maintain a very healthy worker advantage here from HitEmUp's perspective, but we are thinking about maybe taking more bases if we're Zerg. Obviously, a distance mine over here to the mineral only. Gas capping the ridge makes sense. The army is so small right now for the Zerg. Teched into this very, very tactical army where you do need the positional advantage as opposed to pure numbers. We might see that switch over if more infrastructure is dedicated towards it. But right now, I think the timer is how long it takes for, 6 phalanxes to march down, 2 rounds from the fulcrums, and that's basically everything that you need for a very deadly siege position. And there's no air units available here for Crank. He has not gone for Vornath. He has gone for Skiback, but Skithricors do not help here. Bit of a Bioforce roaming around. I like to see that. Just going to go ahead and draw some of the initial attention away from the main saber that is beneath Krankendau's natural. The Ancial's spotting things out and revealing the phalanx. Just a little bit of a distraction here. Obviously, the vast majority of the army is off to this right-hand side. The Cyprians are actually doing some damage, funnily enough. That ended up doing a little bit more than I think even HitEmUp would have expected, but he's happy for the extra space. Krankendau giving up the option, conceding the ground. He needs those Lakers burrowed. This Maverick group is destined for death, but they get pulled back. Nothing is approaching the top glob of Bio. The Clerics were helping out for a brief time, but they have been left by the wayside at this point because HitEmUp doesn't need him. He's adding more now, but the rally directly into the Mavericks and the Cyprians. GG has got to be called, and that will be HitEmUp taking the first game as was foretold.